What's up, guys? How you doing? I finished up this bus build today, and I forgot that I did not do an intro. Today we'll be working on some electrical stuff, and hopefully you'll learn some things, and maybe you'll tell me if I'm doing something wrong. So we'll get into it and start the bus build, and I'm back again. So here we go. Alright guys, before I start showing you all the panels, there I am. I'm going to put together my control panel for everything, so you'll be able to see how I put mine together. Here we go. Alright guys, so I have everything wired up that I want to at the moment. Once I install it, I'm going to wire the rest of it up, but I just wanted to get it started. But I will be putting it on the other side of this wall here, and you'll see how the closet, my electric closet's going to go, and see how it's all going to fit and work. So we'll see how this goes. Alright guys, so before I actually start putting everything in the metal cage that will house all the electronics or the control panels for everything, I want to show you how I actually attached everything to a piece of plywood and how that's going to go against the metal. So I actually have my power inverter that's separate from the rest of everything, just the way that the closet is built. I just had to do it that way. So basically all I did was took a piece of plywood, drilled holes through it to where I could add bolts through it. And if you see if it'll focus for me, I actually have these little spacers. Well, come on. These little spacers that actually are going to keep the plywood from off the metal wall. That way there's no weird contact or weird short that could happen. And also there's a few screws that are just shy of being poking through, so having these spacers are going to help a lot. So I'm going to show you after these are attached and where they're going to go, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, now I got it in there. I can start adding more cables, but actually looking at it right now, it looks pretty nice. I'll try to back up here. So for instance, as you walk in the bus, the control panel is going to be right behind the driver's seat. So there you see my inverter, and then also you have the the charge controller for the solar, and then all of my DC stuff. So the cool thing about this spot, and then also my batteries, sorry, I will be getting more as well. Just 2 of them. I'm just to test everything out, make sure it's working, but I'm gonna get 2 more. But like I was saying, the cool thing about this spot is that I can run all my wires, and I have little holes I could feed the wires through, both there and, let's see if I can get you right up in here. So that way that goes through that. So the wires will come through and then into the, let me see if I can, in through that port there, and then that runs down the whole bus. So that port can have access, so everything will come out where these wires are coming out, and then we can start putting lights in this thing. Okay, so I have all these, I have all this cable, so I'm going to show you how I actually cut it and actually crimp on these terminal connectors. That way we can connect the inverter and the battery. So let's go over here. Okay guys, so I have one that's actually completely finished. It's got the heat shrink and everything attached to it, so it has that one's ready to go. But the thing is, I need the other side. We need that to measure and see how long everything is to one of the terminals to the actual inverter. So we'll check that out, see what the length we need, and then we'll cut it. Alright guys, I'm going to try not to get too much in the way of the camera, but the camera is pushed back as far as it can go. It's sitting on the steering wheel. But we're going to run the negative cable that I have that's finished on one end, and we're going to run it to the negative terminal on the power inverter. Since the negative side is way on this far side, and then my other negative is going to be on this other far side, I'm going to have to snake it all the way down and around up here. So what we'll try to do is we'll measure where it needs to go. So I'll take this bolt off here. Alright guys, so I found the length that I want for my cable to bridge the gap between my power station and my inverter. And I wanted to keep the pliers on here because I marked my spot, so I wanted to show you how I actually cut them and strip them. All you have to get is 10-inch wire cutters. They have like this rounded beveled edge to where it just cuts a cable really clean. I tried cutting it with bolt cutters, and that was wrong. It did not work. But I'll show you how easy it is. So you take the spot you want and you just kind of squeeze. And just like that, it's a very clean cut. So that way you can take this piece and use it for something else if you really needed to. So what we'll do with the other end is we will just take the shielding off, and we're going to leave the copper within it. So you can use the same pliers. There's a lot of like wire strippers out there, and these were $7 and they seem to work the best that I could find out of anything. Anyway, so what we'll do is I will take my terminal lug and we'll measure how much I actually need to cut off, because you need just enough to where it starts where this curve goes. So if you need just about that much, and that's how much you need to take off. So I'll go ahead and mark it the best I can because the black is hard to see. But what I'll do is I'll open these real wide And then I will be very gentle and not to squeeze too hard on that. And what I'll do is I'll just start rotating, and that's going to start cutting the insulation on the cable. And so when you just start, squeeze it just enough and just turn the cable, and it'll cut it for you. Then once you start to see copper within there, don't squeeze anymore, and you pretty much have got the insulation cut through all the way. So we'll just go ahead and get this last bit off, and then all you have to do is just slide off that one piece, and then there you go. You actually have your exposed wire. That's all it takes to do that. So what we'll do is then we'll take the terminal lug and then just add it over it. Kind of twist them a little bit just because they want to fray out. Just easier to slip on the end cap here. And so that will go on like so. I have another tool that I'll show you here in just a second on how to actually crimp these down. It's a really cool tool, and it was worth, I think, the 20 bucks or something, but I'll show you that next. Alright guys, so this little tool will crimp big cables, you know, I think up to 4/0. They're pretty big cables, so if you need to ever crimp anything, this is a pretty cool tool. But I'll show you how it works. So what you do is you take your cable that you have cut and then your lug that you have cut with. You just lift this hammer up. It's sort of like a forge type thing. So we'll see how that goes. So just line it up. It kind of like fits its own self into there. And now that that's down, you take a really heavy hammer and make sure you do it on something very solid like concrete or something else like that. And kind of like just keep the two halves together, and then just one big hit. And then once you get that initial first hit, once you hit it a few times, you'll hear that like solid thunk to where it's like there's no more give into it. So what that does is it gives you a pretty nice crimp, and that cable is latched onto there and it's not going to go anywhere. So now we can attach the negative and the positive cables to the inverter. And then one step closer to adding our solar. Alright guys, it's starting to actually get a little dark now. But I was able to connect my positive and my negative to my inverter, and I actually came up with some pretty cool ideas. So I have my my negative and my positive. And my negative, actually, there was a hole up here, so I actually put a zip tie through that hole so it's holding it up against that. And then also I have my positive running along the back wall through this little clip that goes into the circuit breaker. The cool thing about these clips is these were a part of the bus. I actually decided to use them that are going to go on the that's holding those wires. This was for the shovel, the snow shovel for the bus, for the bus driver. So the shovel was actually attached up here. So I just found the other clip and I attached it, and those are holding those wires nice and snug, and they're not going to go anywhere or flop around, which is super cool. So I really like how this is turning out. I just have to connect my batteries. Before I do that, I'm going to put the solar panel up, but I will probably leave that for another video. Well guys, now that we got, we're back up and running and got some momentum going with the power and the electrical, I want to thank you guys for coming back, checking out the channel, and seeing more progress on what I have to do on this big guy. Probably the next video will be running all the electrical to the electrical panel that I put up and what you saw today. And then after that and all those are run, the following video hopefully will probably be the install the solar panels. So we have a lot to go, and then once the power is installed and I know the power is working, the cabinets, the flooring, just everything will come so fast, and I already have so many good ideas for the future and what it holds. But like I said, subscribe, share with everyone, let them know how much of a bus nerd you are, just as much as I am, and we'll see you next time. All right, see ya.